Hello, everybody. Man, good to see all of you here. I want to just add my welcome to the welcome that's already been extended and let you know how happy we are to have all of you ladies in the house tonight, tomorrow night, even tomorrow during the day. Maybe some of you will be here. So glad that you're here, and we welcome you. We love hosting events. We love hosting people. And there are people who come from all over the country. There's a lot of pastors and pastors' wives. I saw that we had, I think, between 50 and 100 pastors registered. And I know you've come from around the state, around the city, around the country. And I want to let you know we are honored. And I mean, we are deeply honored that you would take the time and that you would come and be with us. I don't know about you, I really I felt like when the night opened up, I just felt like God is in this house. God is here, and God's going to do something very special in this event. And we're just getting started, I know, but just raise the bar of expectation and believe God that you're definitely not going to be the same after this event. You are not going to be the same, ladies. Things are going to be different in your life. Okay, you may be seated. There is one person. My wife told me that there's one person here, and I just want to give her, I welcome ministers and pastors, and many of you are moms, and you're raising champions, and I was thinking, man, there's a lot of women here who are wanting to get it right and believe in God they're going to get it right on behalf of their children because they know that their legacy has a purpose and a plan on the earth. But there's one gal, Sheila told me is here, and that is Mrs. Veach, who is Chad Veach's mom. I have no idea where you are, but I want you to stand because I want to say hello to you. There you are, right there. I want two things. I want to welcome you and say, if I haven't met you, it's my joy to meet you, and we're glad you're here. But I love watching the young men and women that are just a little younger than us, that are just taking territory. And I love your son, and you did an awesome job. Happy Mother's Day. I'm so glad that you're here.
Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, okay, because girls, here's the topic. PK is going to enlighten us tonight on what men wish that women knew, but they will never tell you. So we got a brave man in the house who is going to tell us the things that the men in your life would love to say to you, but they might just get themselves in trouble if they did. So he's brave, he's gonna be here, and we're gonna kick it off. I'm gonna ask him a couple questions, and we're gonna talk back and forth. He's gonna do most of the talking, but let's start with this one. What do men wish that women knew about them being different from women?
I think the first thing that men wish women knew is that we're different by design. Like, don't try to fix us.
Well.
Like, I think that sometimes that women look at men as a different kind of woman or, another version of femininity. And we are not. We are a whole different creature. And I think that to just know that the women in our life know that we're not a mistake and we don't need to be judged and we don't need to be fixed. We need to be loved and accepted for who we are. And I don't mean that our worst self, but I mean the best self that we can be. And we're so different that I think that's what... Because what a lot of women think is stupid about us is not stupid to us.
Could you just explore that a little bit for us and maybe help us understand?
So we need a challenge.
Yeah.
We need it. Like, we need to chase something, conquer something, and that is how we're wired. There's a guy in the Bible who was one of David's mighty men, and last week I I was teaching about David for the weekend, and I was reminded again of Benaiah. And Benaiah, here's what it says about him. He was a mighty man, and it was talking about all that he did, and he conquered two main giants, meaning men. But then there's a verse that says that on a snowy day, he chased a lion into a pit and killed it. And I don't know, like that lion might have been terrorizing a village or something, but it could have been just he saw a lion and
thought it was a good idea.
Thought it was a good idea, because he needs that. Like we're wired to go after something. And that's the part, honestly, now that we're here talking about it, there's a part of my life that I have just not told until the last 3 or 4 years because I didn't want to offend people, and I'm old enough that I don't care much anymore. But I knew that the crowd, mainly females, would not like the idea that I'm a hunter and I shoot animals. And so if you tell your husband, he will love me more. Like, just tell him he will want to come to church here and all that. But I know for you, that may not be cool. But I remember I actually one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to chase a lion. And I wanted to look him in the eye. And I didn't go after a lion with a rifle and all that. I went with a handgun, which is very dangerous. And I looked the lion in the eye, and I'm still alive. And I called my dad to tell my dad that this lifelong dream, like for me, had happened, and my dad chuckled. Here's what I said. I said, "Dad, guess what? You know, I'm an author. I'm a pastor. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather, and I just added something to my bio, Dad. I am a lion slayer." And you know what my dad said? My dad said, "Yeah, but you're not matching up to David yet. You didn't get him with a knife. You had a weapon." That's how a man thinks. So anyway, I wanted just the women to know that we're wired. I want to tell one more story like this. Probably not going to get very far, but on this topic. But we were in an elevator about 2 months ago, my wife and I, and a man got on the elevator, and something happened in the moment, and our eyes met. And when we got off the elevator, he got off, and then we went on, and when we got off, and we got far enough from where anyone could hear us, my wife looked at me and she said, "What was that?" And I said, "What?" "That like thing in the elevator with you and him. Like you guys stared into one another's eyes. And you didn't even like break staring the whole time. It was horrible. What was going on?" And I said, "Yeah, I don't know, but he started it." And we went into this moment where she's like jumping my case, and I'm laughing because I'm like, that was crazy, and that hasn't happened in years, but it's just something about when a man calls out a man's got to answer, you know, and a man, and I'm trying to tell her, and she's like, "That is so stupid, and you freak me out, and don't do that again." And I said to her, "Well, it's no different than when you're on Pinterest, and I look over and you're crying about some kind of quotes on Pinterest, and it's not even to you or about you, and you're crying." So anyway, I don't want to try to justify that part of us. I'm just saying that's what men do. We are into a challenge, and we go for a challenge.
Why don't you turn to the girl next to you and say gender differences? There it is. Okay, So what happens? This is important because you just talked about Pastor Sheila seeing you in the elevator and all that. So what happens to a man when a woman does not accept his masculinity? You're welcome, ladies.
Well, basically, one of two things will happen. Like, he will either go into secret, or you will emasculate him. One or the other. He is a man, and being a man is it's who he is. So it either that turns internal, and he gets, he has a wife who questions him, and he backs up. Like, no, I'm not saying that bad. I'm just saying, I'll do it again. If it's not good. What she said, I'm not afraid of her. You understand what I'm saying? And that's a good thing for her. She doesn't want me to be afraid of her. She wants me to keep being a man. And I'm saying you want your man to be a man. And the only other thing is, he'll do it. He'll try to hide that part of him, but he won't quit being that. If he knows it upsets you or something about him, he may try to hide it. But the other thing is that if you really win, a lot of women think they want to conquer men, and when they do, they don't like what they got.
So true.
They get an emasculated, wimpy, passive, unmotivated, no ambition, no drive kind of man. They lose complete respect for him.
On the flip side of that, masculinity is femininity. What does a man love about the femininity of a woman?
I think the biggest thing that women don't realize about men is that men absolutely love femininity to the point where they do not see you or respect you less when you're the femininity is in you. And I think a lot of women assume they have to be like a man to win his respect. Yeah. And so they try to be more masculine and be what he is. And I think that let me say it like this: we know your power, and sometimes it scares us. But if you become like us, then it's like you create a familiar playing field. But it's your uniqueness that scares us in a good way. It creates respect for you. Because we know, like men, I've never met a man who wanted to compete with a woman. Not like a lot of women, like, yeah, you don't think I'm good enough. No, it has nothing, that's not true. A lot of what men think is like, I have strengths, but your strengths are different than mine. And that's what I mean when I say scared. Like, women scare us because it's like female jujitsu or something. It's like they can come from over here and then from over here and then from over here, and we don't know what to do with all that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So I think that women should lean into your femininity and understand that men respect your power. And men, feminine power is real power to men. It absolutely, when I also say scared, a man likes to be in control, but a woman who is in her peak of femininity, she governs a man. she's in charge. Like what my wife said tonight when she opened up. If she praises me, if she encourages me, if she builds me up as a man, I want to take the world for her. And I'll do anything for her.
Okay, so let's talk self-esteem here for a minute. What do men wish that women knew about their self-esteem?
Well, I think that men wish that women knew that we get our self-esteem from what we do. And again, to accept that about us and don't judge us for that. So our education, our positions, our jobs, what we succeed in doing, that is where we get our self-esteem. And let me say a little bit more because I know that people would find fault with this, so I got to explain a little more. A man needs respect. He doesn't need love. He actually interprets respect as love. So, and respect is to speak highly of him, to hold him in high regard when he knows that there's an authenticity about it, that he has done things that you admire, and that you see that he has conquered, you see that he has won some battles, you see that he has stood up when it would have been easier to sit down, you see that he kept going when it would have been easier to quit, and that is what speaks to a man's soul. And when a man fails at something, the worst thing that you can do is to say, I knew this was going to happen. I tried to tell you, because what happens is that interferes, or that infers that you don't respect him. And when he fails, that's when he needs your respect and to feel respected, to be able to make a comeback and to overcome the voices of failure in his own mind. And so I just wish that women knew that you get your respect from what you love and who you love. So you get your respect from who you love, and we get our respect from what we do. In other words, my wife, my daughter, they are, ladies are nurturers. So what women love to do when they get together is show pictures of their kids, pictures of their grandchildren, and this is who I love, and this is who I love, and this is who I love, and he's 4 and he's 8 and she's 6, and this is who I love, and when the little girl came out here, wasn't that beautiful in the beginning, and sang tonight, and when a woman identifies herself like that with those she loves, she feels self-esteem. She feels high value. She feels valuable. But men, although they acknowledge the beauty in all of that, men look at the children, and we get our self-esteem from the thought that I'm going to help that boy grow up. I'm going to help him be strong. I'm going to help him be smart. There's a conquering dynamic. Ain't no boy going to mess up my girl, my daughter. So that's how we tend to look at the same things you look at, but our esteem comes from the win, from the success.
So you're saying we shouldn't point out like the toilet seat that's not put down when it's done, and maybe the yard that hasn't been mowed, and
That's what I'm saying, Nicole.
That's what you're saying? I mean, because I wasn't really thinking about this with my husband as much, but I have like a 17-year-old son, and he's working that out right now. And so I'm thinking this goes true for the men we're raising as women as well, and learning how we as moms find a way to raise our boys, especially when they reach that point where you're guiding, not so much telling them how it is and what to do and how to do this and that. And I think what I'm hearing you say is that goes for our young men as well, finding a way to say it that doesn't, emasculate him and shows him respect too.
Absolutely, and so good.
So let's talk emotions. Girls love this part, the emotions. So, because girls feel things, like we walk into this room and just feel love looking at all these faces, and then I look at their shoes and I just feel things when I see cute shoes, and feel things when we want to hug and be close. And so what do men wish that women knew about their emotions? They don't get as excited as we do about some of that stuff.
Hey, what?
They don't get as excited as we do about that stuff sometimes.
Yeah, well, I think that about emotion, again, another myth is that men don't have them.
Well, yeah.
Well, okay. So especially the ones that have to do with tenderness or sympathy or hurt, that all of our emotions are boxed in anger or something like that. So here's what I would say, is that I think men would want you to know they feel as deeply as you do. And I think that what we would want you to know is that we often want emotional support, and we would like to have sometimes the emotional support that we're giving to you and to our kids. But where do we go to get that? And we would want you to take walk a mile in our shoes, because as men, we are, from the day we are, big boys don't cry. We hear that as a boy. There's a masculinity and an expectation. We learn that it's our responsibility to stay strong, logical, think clearly, that's what we do. It's kind of like if any of you women have been, your nurses or your doctors, or you're an emergency team, or you're a police officer, you've gone through training that actually cuts you off from your emotions so that you can get your job done. Well, that would be similar to what men grow up with all their life, is to say no to the emotions, because we have to think clear, we have to take responsibility, we have to own the situation, we have to be logical, and that means we have to set our emotions aside. But I think men would want you to know that when you see us doing that, it doesn't mean that we don't have emotions or that we don't feel deeply sometimes, just like you do. It's just that we don't know. Like I would even say for me, where do I go? Like, where do I go? And that may sound, well, you go to anyone. No, I can't. I really can't. Like, I can't just go to anyone. Like, definitely, like if my wife's having a hard time anyway, she don't need me to try to take my emotions to her. It's a big deal for men.
So the honesty piece, the big deal for men, and sharing that, there's a vulnerability in that honesty.
Yeah.
And what maybe help us understand what is that all about? Him being transparent, him sharing his person, him.
Well, if we get vulnerable, then we could be punished for it. In one way or another. Like, if he tells you how he really feels about your mother.
Are you saying we'd have an opinion about that?
Honey, I just got to tell you, I don't like her. So, if he kind of melts down to just spill how he really feels, is what I'm saying. So there's other things about a man's feelings, of course, but when he gets too vulnerable, it doesn't feel smart, it feels dangerous. Even with your wife, a man needs you. If you have a great relationship with your husband, he needs you to be able to keep his secrets and be his confidant. You're the one that he sees, and it'll be a little by little, but the more he feels like he can trust you and be vulnerable, that's a good thing. And if he doesn't trust you to know his weakness, he will stop showing you that he has any. So, that answer?
Really suggesting that we go home and ask our husband to tell them, like, hey, honey, I need to hear all your secrets. I learned today you need to share some things with me. Like,
no,
that's not
I'm
a good
not
idea.
Suggesting that.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting take a note right now and look for the opportunities to let him know that you are safe and that his masculinity is not at stake.
Yeah.
His masculinity doesn't shrink.
Yeah.
You will not conquer him. Yeah. He doesn't want to be conquered by you. It freaks him out that you would conquer him.
Yeah.
And if giving you something that shows his weakness
That's really
and you
good.
use it against him, then you're conquering him.
Can I just add to that, because so my husband and I will be married 23 years coming up in July, and yes, and he's really cute. Just want you to know, he's really cute. And we're leaving in a week, just the two of us, for Maui. I'm super excited. Okay, but I'm focused now. Okay. I'm back on.
All right, let's come
Girls
back.
talk all over,
Girl
but
talk.
I was thinking about what you said with my husband and just relating. There have been times when I know he's carrying weight, and I sense it and I see it, or I see him struggling. Maybe he's not quite where I think he should be in a situation or a place in his life. And what I have learned is that he won't open up to me if I do all the talking. Like if I just call out all the things I see in a way to try to help him, fix him, help him, I'm not really helping the situation. And I've learned that sometimes the best thing I can do is keep my mouth shut, release that to the Lord, because the Lord created him, and in time, when he's ready, he'll speak to me and share things with me. Yeah. Okay, so the last thing we're going to talk about, communication. Communication. What do men wish that women knew about how they communicate?
I think it goes, if we could just kind of keep that, what you just said.
Yeah.
Because women, I think of it like this. Women communicate in circles and men in straight lines. And I don't mean that as an insult. I'm just like, when you ask a woman about her day, then she'll tell you how Betty didn't want to get up this morning, and then Jeffrey on the way to school, he spilled his Kool-Aid everywhere, and then I got him to school late, and then I was on my way, and my mom called, and I had to swing by her house, and she'll go through all of this, and you ask a man how his day was, and he'll say, "It was good. It was good." So there's a base. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah.
So all of the feelings confuse men. Men prefer facts. Facts are clear, get there in a straight line. So what you said about not talking too much, like when he is hurting, I think Sheila would tell you that when I have been hurting the most or carrying the biggest weights in my life, I don't talk much, and I tend to shut down a lot. And then when she is, the time is right and she is quiet and allows me and really wants me to talk, it's real. It's like, I'll tell her I'm really hurting right now. And I don't need her at that point to go, well, I just need her to listen and say something like, I know, I can tell. So communication-wise, like facts are great for men. get to the point. Men love stories. They like stories like you do and entertainment. But I want to say one more thing about this. I don't know, we're running short on time, but as a pastor, I'd like to make an appeal to all the women, and maybe you're not at our church, but whatever church you go to, understand this challenge that we're talking about right now is what a pastor faces every single week, because he doesn't want to just have a church of women, and you don't want him to. And so he has a challenge communication-wise to be able to not just communicate with women, but be able to communicate with men. And if your pastor is doing that, it may not be connecting with you, but if it's connecting with your husband, like, please cheer your pastor on. Please support your pastor. Please. I see so many women, and they don't get it. Like, they're more into feelings, and they're more into, why aren't we worshiping over here more, and why aren't we? And they get into spiritual sort of things, and they don't understand that if the church goes that way, and your leaders and pastors go so much that way, that your husbands are not, and the men in our city and community, they are not going to want to come to church. But if there's a church, so I try to create feeling, like we worship. Men will worship. Like David was a worshiper, and he was a fighter and a mighty warrior. So men can do that, but the point is they don't want to meander around in pointless things. So if a pastor is allowed, like, to really do a few things that men really love. So men need to, when they come to church, they need to have their confidence built and their courage built, and they need it to be clear, and they need it to be challenging. That's what men need. They need their confidence built, their courage built, they need it to be clear, and they need it to be challenging. Now, if you think about all of that, women might need elements of that, but that's all men need. Like, that's all they need. I'm just telling you, they will go to a church where they walk out confident, full of courage, challenged, and the message is clear. They will go out of church and go feeling like that was worth going to church today. So I guess I'm making a little bit of an appeal for the feminine side of Christianity in churches. I think we're doing a lot better than we've ever done before, and I think there's some men that are rising up, speaking to men. I think men are finding men that they can follow and look at in churches and go, that's a real man and he loves God, and there's another real man and he loves God. That's a real man and he ain't girly. And he, and the more of that there is, the more you win. The more you win, ladies. That's what I'm trying to say. So
I know we're out of time, but I really feel like you should speak to this last piece, and that is the things that we're communicating without using words, our person, our presentation of ourselves. What are we saying to men in the way that we present our person? What can you tell us about that?
Well, I think that a lot of women, we know that men are visually stimulated by beautiful women, and I think that a lot of times women shrink that down to a mindset that where it causes them to present themselves in ways that a man loses his respect. I think women have to be really careful that they. I think women should definitely the femininity. I don't think you should walk around drabby and with big clothes on and all that kind of stuff. I think women should look like a woman, and I don't think that Christian women should be hiding their bodies and all of that kind of thing. But I would say that there's another side to that. Is that what you're asking me about? Am I on the right?
You're doing really good
thing here. Yeah. I just think keep yourself at a level where men see you not as just a flirting or a sex object, but they see your beauty, and they see that you are indeed a beautiful woman, but they also admire you because you are a lady and you carry yourself with strength and grace and beauty.
Okay, ladies. Do you want to pray over us? You want to pray over the girls in the house? Do you want to do that? Speak a blessing over us? Are you waiting?
You know, I would love to. I would actually I'd like to pray over a couple of groups, though. As I'm talking here, I think about 2 groups.
Yep.
And I mean, ladies are being, there's prayer throughout the service. I feel like I want to pray for 2 kinds of ladies. And that is, I would like to pray for moms of boys. And I would like to pray for women whose husbands are not, they're not following God right now. And so if those ladies would just stand to your feet that fit that description, and the other ladies, if you would stretch your hand out to them, those who are standing. Father, I thank you for this night. And God, I thank you for every woman who's here. And Father, I pray for wisdom. I pray for guidance. Lord, you are able to give us the right words at the right time. You're able to give us, Lord, the signal when we need to be silent. And God, you are able, Lord, to give us a check in our spirit as we raise those boys, that what we're the position we're putting them in is not masculinity. That we are literally, Lord, at certain points, we're putting our own femininity on them and willing it onto them. And I pray for an awareness. I pray, God, for a confidence and a grace for all the women in the house to have great discretion and to know how to raise the boys into men and how to celebrate their masculinity and not shame it, and how to exalt it and how to lift it up and how to praise those boys right on into the strength of manhood, I pray. And God, I pray that all the women whose husbands are not following you, I pray, Lord, that even right now and throughout this conference, there would be words of wisdom that they would better know how they can be that influencer in the right direction. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Love you, ladies.
Can you show Pastor Kevin some love?